Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. And today, I'm going to do a DIY art bin project share, but we're going to make it, and it's a card. I'm going to use some Snap Click Supply paper, and I'm going to do the base. I'm going to show you how to do the base once I've cut my cardstock, because somebody commented yesterday, how do you put a card base together? So, you know, as makers, I know there's very experienced people here, but not everybody is. There's a lot of people who are beginners, and so I'm going to show you the basic of putting a card base together, and then we're going to do some paper piecing. So what I want to do is, I really like this image, and that is from, I'm going to turn it sideways so you can see it. I've got the camera dropped down low so that people can see what I'm doing today. And obviously it's a vintage stove with a coffee pot on it, and it's from Snap Click Supply, and it's the Cartabella Farm to Table pack. You will see that better when I crop it down, because I want this to be the main feature for the front of the card. And this is going to be the base cardstock that I'm using, which is also from the same Cartabella pack. So you can see the greens and what have you, it all tones in. Now, as I said, it's DIY art bin, so I want to use this little chef gnome, and we'll be able to measure that once it's fully made. Now, it is a Christmas gnome with a Christmas cake, and I don't know if you can see here, if I hold it up, we've got holly leaves and we've got holly berries. Well, I'm going to omit that bit, and it's just going to be a cake that my little gnome chef is holding. So I'm going to try and, you know, sort of position it within the image. I'm also going to be using some Touch New markers, and I don't know if they're showing up. Those are the colours that I'm going to be using. So that's 171 Jade Green. I'm going to be using 120, which is black. I'm going to be using Cool Grey 1, which is one of my favourite pens. I use it an awful lot. And I'm also, that's very blurred, but I can tell you in the Touch New brush markers, nope, it's not going to show up. There you go. It's 25 and it's salmon pink. Right, and also to go with that, I'm going to use a white gel pen. Right, so first of all, I need to run away and die cut the pieces for the gnome and die cut this vintage stove out, because then I'm going to roughly know how big my card base is going to be, and then I'm going to come back with those pieces. I'm going to use some Dollar Tree foam pads and put that card base together. So the lady who asked yesterday, I hope that it's going to be useful for you. And if you're using a die, run it through your die cut machine and have that as your focal element if you want in a focal element, and then use your pattern as your base. Right, I'm off to do some cutting and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went away and I did some die cutting, and because I'm using my Touch New markers, which are still here, and I've already shown you those colours, I've done it in plain white cardstock, and then I'm going to colour them. These bits here I'm not using. Those are the little Christmas bits that if you want to make it look like a Christmas cake, you can do that. I mean, if you wanted to do this as a birthday, this is the plate of the cake, but you could absolutely chop that in half and cut a couple of them and make yourself some little candles, and then do some little pearl drop drips in yellow or orange for the candle flames. So you can change up your dye however you want to. I've kind of pushed my elements around here because I'm trying to kind of get a feel of how this character is supposed to look. And here are the pieces that I cut. So what I've ended up with here is a 6-inch square on the plaid base, and then cropped this one down to, this one is 5.5 inches, yeah. So I'm ending up with a 6-inch square card, and you can see I kind of want my gnome in this region to make him look like he's in the kitchen. But I do love these colours, and although, you know, it's great for a woman, it's also good colour for a man. So we're going to put that together at the ends, but first of all we need to get the gnome coloured in. Right, so Where are we going? I do like to kind of like use my paler colours first, because I will use sort of like hand sanitizer to mop up anything that looks like it might stain anywhere else. So I'm just going to move a couple of these elements out of the way, and I'm going to do the flesh first. Right, I know that all that bit there is my cake, the plate, the cake, and the frosting. This is a hand, this is the nose, that is a sleeve, that is a hairpiece, which I know is the same colour as the shoes, and this is a sleeve, so we're popping that there. Right, hand. Right, so my flesh colours, as I showed you earlier, I'm using Salmon 25 in the Touch New brush marker. And I'm just going to pop the cap and do some colouring. And it's really, really simple. Just lightly touch to the paper, going round and round, very, very gently. Once this is dry, if you feel that you needed some shadow anywhere, then you could certainly go in and then add a second coat. Like on the nose here, if I say that that is the top of my nose and this is the bottom, then I can just go in and do it again and cast just a little bit of a shadow there around the base of the nose. Now, I know I've made that look a bit kind of wibbly. I'll see if I can pick that up for you. There you go. Let's get some clarity. I don't know if I've got my camera in at the right angle. Usually if I zoom in and zoom out, it gets better. But you can see there's a slight shadow cast, and then the top section of the nose is light. So for me to remember that that is the top of the nose, I'm going to go in with my white gel pen and I'm just going to dot it so that I know which bit of the nose goes where. Now your gel pen, if it's not flowing, put it onto something warm like your finger and it will get the ink flowing for you. So I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to pop a little white circle. You always have to remember I can't always see what I'm doing, and you will get an even better close-up when I've finished. And then I'm just going to put just another little tiny dot just off to there, and then I'm going to try and pick that up without ruining it and try and show you again. Now at some point I do get some clarity here, but I hope that you can see that. There you go. I've got two little dots, so I know what is the top and the bottom of my nose. So that's done, and sort of like the flesh colour, as the website states, is done. And then I've got dark pieces. I've got this ponytail piece here, and then the boots, which are done in black. But first of all, I want to do my paler colours, so I'm going to do the hat. And it's kind of a slight bluey green on the website, so I'm just going to follow these cut marks here. Are usually sort of like denoting where the shadow is, so if you sort of like play along with that, you can't go wrong. So I'm just going to go along the hat there, which might seem a little bit dark, but that's okay. And then I'm going to say that there's some shadow here and here, and I can't find my blending pen, which is a bit of a pain, so I'm just going to doodle along. And then we've got shadow here that would be cast down, but in this area here I reckon we're going to have a lot more shadow, and then we're going to have shadow coming up the edge. Now I am going to squidge this out with cool grey in a minute, because as I said, I just can't find my blender pen. I mean, the last time that I bought some, I think I bought half a dozen, and I just go through them really, really quickly. So I'm going to cast shadow off to the edge of his hat there, and also down on the brim. So just a little bit there. So that's what I've done to his hat. But now the whole thing is going to be darkened up. I know that a chef's hat is normally white, but I just want to sort of like play with this and darken it up as I go. And you can see basically how, you know, I play around with stuff. So here we go. I'm just putting that on. I just curled my paper up there. I'm just going round and round and round really quickly, pushing some of that colour through. And if I go quiet, forgive me. There we go. And that's kind of like softened up my chef's hat a little bit. It's no longer white. It is cool grey. But there's going to be cool grey in the beard. And as I said about working with different colours on your mat, if you get them the right way around and do your darkest colours last, then you don't have to do so much cleanup. Now, once again, we're looking at the beard and we're looking at where these bits are, and I just do not get fussy at all with this. I just go and I just put down pen. That's all I'm going to do. I mean, he's supposed to be a cute little sketchy gnome, and that's exactly how I'm going to do him. But once again, we've got here, the moustache is going to sit on top of here. I don't know if you can see that embossed section. This is where the moustache will sit in this region. So if he's got a little moustache on top, it's going to cast a shadow. So I'm just going to go down there. And then inside a bit. And then I'm going to go there. Just going to put a little bit around here. And then I'm going to go down there. There. You can see all I've done is scribble and wibble. That's what I'm going to say. Right, so we've got that. We've got the moustache, which is going to be glued into that embossed area. These are the feet and the little piece that goes in the hair, which is going to be done in black. And we've got the chef's hat. I hope you can see that. And we've got the nose, and I know which way the nose goes because it's got the little white dots. So you start to see the whole thing come together. Now, I know that this hand is holding his hair. So he's kind of gripping his hair, and then he's got a little bit of sleeve, which I'm going to colour in that icy blue to match into the hat, which will go there. And then we've got a little bit of sleeve that comes out from here. I can get my fingers out of the way. I think it goes that way, kind of about there. And then the hand will sit on top of the sleeve, just in case you've got this die and you don't know how to paper piece it. That will be a lot sort of like straighter. And then you've got the plate and the cake, and he's kind of like going to hold that cake out. So what am I looking at here? Ah, yes, the sleeves. I'm doing the sleeves in the same blue, which is, let's have a look at that. It's called Jade Green, and it's 171, and I just want that to match in with the hat. Just going to do it solid. Might give it a couple of coats to make it stand out a little bit more than the hat, but have the same kind of coloration. Right, so those are the little sleeves, and now I'm going to move these bits out of the way while we do his feet. So none of the colours that I've got on my mat are going to be interfering at all with the dark grey that I put down. So not dark grey, sorry, the black. So here's my black, and I'm just going to go straight in and cover those up, and the same here. Now this is an extremely juicy pen, and if you get it right you can just cover the whole thing, and the edges too. So those are his little feet, but as you can see I've got a right pile of yuck on the mat, so those are dry now, so I'm going to move those to there. Alcohol ink does dry very, very quickly, and I've got my piece of kitchen paper, and I'm just going to stand up, squeeze on my bottle. I've got a huge bottle of hand sanitizer on the other side of the camera, so I'll just put that down just to get the yuck up. Move that out of the way, and you can see it just lifts it up. I mean, this mat that I'm using is really scruffy and yucky, and you find that when you use pink or yellow pigments, it will stain silicone. So, you know, if you're looking at keeping a silicone mat nice and pristine, it's not going to happen if you use those colours, because they will stain silicone. So now I've got the feet, I've got the little hairpiece, and I want to cast some light and shadow. So I do know that the boots are stitched, and you can see, if I hold one up, the little stitched area there. If I get close and then come out, hopefully you're going to see. There you go. You can see those little stitched points. I'm going to try and do this properly. Ooh, I wonder if it's the angle of my camera. Ah, it's not having it, is it? Ah, there we go. You can see the little stitch points, and those are the bits where I'm going to go in my white gel pen, and once again I'm just going to rub it on my finger to get the ink flowing, and you can see that. And just follow the little stitch line, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So I've got those little white bits which look really cute with a stitch, and then into the center of this little piece, which is like the clip for the gnome's ponytail, I'm going to put light where those lines are. So I'm just going right down the middle, so I've got a little bit of light cast there. Okay, now the only thing left to do is the cake and the frosting, and I totally forgot to get my my brown pen, so I'm just going to go and fetch it. Right, so I went and fetched 2 new pens, and I have got those brown grey and chestnut brown. The chestnut brown is going to be my chocolate, and the brown grey is going to be my cake base. So I'm just going to colour the whole cake using my brown grey, and you can see it's a very good cake colour. I tend to go through these shades in my pen sets because I'm always looking, you know, for the perfect cake, the perfect pie, and the perfect gingerbread. So, you know, you just have to do what you can to try and find your candy colours. Right, so that is my cake base, and then my top. This colour that I've got on my mat is not going to affect this chestnut brown at all, which is going to be my lovely chocolate drips. So here we go. So that is my chocolate all done. Now the plate, if I remember from the website, is actually black. So, you know, once again, adding those darker shades there is helping to make it all a lot more masculine. So black is not going to interfere with that chocolate brown. So we're going to pop black down just all the way along. There we go. That's done. And of course, paper piecing, you can use all your different colour papers to do it if you want to. But, you know, sometimes using markers is just really easy. So I think I've still got a little bit of hand sanitizer on here, enough to remove anything that might stain, and always check your fingers. Now the reason I say that is a lot of glues will actually lift alcohol ink, which was a surprise to me. And you know, sometimes you can be using some real pale colours and you get a bit of glue on your hands, and then it also transfers the ink from your fingers onto your project, which is no good at all. Right, so I am using Dollar Tree glue. I've got it in my needle tip bottle. I've had these bottles for years, and I did get 10, I think, for $2. So, you know, I think they're going to last me for life. And I just squeeze down to make sure that I've got a flow of glue onto my mat. Right, now, there is an order to put in this together, as you can see. So, first of all, the moustache has to go down first. So we're going to pop that into the area that is embossed here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue Now, you don't have to stick the moustache all the way down if you don't want to. You can pop some foam behind it and make it 3D, or you can curl it up and give it some more shape for your dimension. But you can see what I've done here, and I have got to slide that up into the embossed area, and it is easy because it is embossed for you. So right, that now is the moustachey bit. I know it's very bright here, and that has been glued down. Right, so that is the moustache, and now we need to get the hat on, and then we can kind of have the nose. If you look at this shape here, up here, you can see it kind of fits in with this, so that you can see where you're going with it. And then you've got your little gap there, which is where the nose goes. So I'm going to go for that, and I'm going to put glue around the bottom edge of the hat. That's all I need. I'm going to pick that up, and I'm going to position it where I think is right, which is right there. You just need to hold it for a few seconds until it's stuck. And if it comes up on you, which it does for me because of the humidity here, you can just stick it back down again and it does stick. Right, so the next thing is the nose, and I just know that the nose is going to fit within this space here. So I'm just going to put a little blob of glue right there. And where's my pickup tool? Yeah, organisation. Right. This is my pickup tool, and as you can see, it needs sharpening, and I just put it in a regular paper sharpener. That's all I do, and then you get a nice pointy edge again, pointy tip rather. Right, so I'm going to pick up that nose, and as you already know, I did it slightly darker at the bottom, and then I put those two little white highlights in there, so I can see which is the top and which is the bottom of my little nosy. Right, and the next thing is I need to, for me, position the feet. I think how something is standing is really important, and I am actually going to put a little bit more gel pen around the base, because I'm pretty sure that on the website the little sole was kind of like, highlighted. My memory's not very good, but my memory has always been very good visually. Like, I can walk into a room and, just look at it once. I'm not bragging, really, I'm not. And then go out furniture shopping and know exactly what's going to fit, and exactly what colour, because I do love colour swatching, is going to match just by looking. I can just stand back and look and say, no, that is actually going to be 2 inches too long for that wall. Seriously, I can just walk into a room and do that. And I think they call it spatial awareness. Yeah. So I have the ability to do that. Just walk in and measure with my eyes. Right, so thinking about where that's going, I'm going to say maybe there, and because I don't want him to look like Daffy Duck, Daffy Duck's feet, and I think there. So I think he's kind of standing like that, thinking from memory. Well, that's what I'm thinking anyway. There we go. I think that's probably it. So now that I've got those feet in that position, I will take the largest piece away and put the glue where I want that. Now, that's what you want to prevent it from doing, from moving, but I need to see where my glue is going. And because I positioned the feet before, I can just pick up the whole piece again and pretty much, stick it down. So I'm going to go with that and be happy with that. But isn't he cute? Really like that. Right, now I am going to go off camera just to stick the cake together. I'm going to put this onto there and any little things, and I'll be right back. Right, so I stuck the bits on the cake and I've done the little hand pieces, and I'm just going to pause them there so that if you have got this die, you can just look for a minute to see how they look, so that you can pause this section while you're building your own. Now this hand, as I said before, is actually holding the hair, so I don't really need to bother with the arm, but I do need to position the arm. So I'm going to choose to put a blob of glue there in the center of the hand and pick that up and position it where the hair is. So I'm just going to carefully flip that over and put it where I think it goes, and I'm pretty sure that that little bit there gets tucked under. So I'm going to pick that up and manipulate it around the back there so that it looks like he's got his hands coming from behind his beard. There we go. So that that bit's done. Oh, that's a better picture, isn't it? But you see how that blue has melted all in now into that cool grey. So you've just got that lovely sort of like bluish shadow. Now this one is the one that you've got to get correct, because the hand has to be flat and it has to be, you know, holding on to that cake. So it's a matter of sort of like positioning it like that, really. Yeah, I think that's probably in about the right place. Maybe it could go a little bit higher. I reckon about there. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Or am I going to go a little bit lower? I don't know. Let's put some glue on it and have a look. I'm going to hold that bit down. Just got a little bob of glue there on the end of its arm. And then I'm going to kind of think about it holding a cake. And the height of the cake. Right, I'm going to go with that, and then I'm just going to straighten the hand up and bring the cake over. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I just press, and then I've got my little cake, and along the bottom here you can see how it looks behind. It looks a mess, but never mind. And I'm just going to run some glue along the bottom edge of my cake there, and that is also going to catch the hand. Just want it resting very, very carefully right there, so it looks like he's holding it, but I don't want to see any gaps. So I'm saying there that he's holding his cake up in the air and he's very, very proud of it. Right, so I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to come back. We're going to put foam on the back of it, and we're going to put some foam tabs on the base that I cut earlier. Right, so let's do this. And here's my top section, which is that beautiful vintage stove from Snap Click Supply. I've got Dollar Tree foam pads, and I'm just going to pull a bunch off so that I haven't got a whole roll in my hand. And we're just going to put foam pads on here. Don't like to go too close to the edge, because otherwise I can get carried away and I end up seeing them. Now you can of course get foam pads from wherever you like, but you will never find them cheaper than Dollar Tree. I know that they're kind of like $1.25 now, but that's still cheaper than $4 and something, which is how much they usually are in the craft stores. Now I do like to have a lot around the edge. If I'm gifting or if I'm posting, it's really important that what you're sending doesn't get all squished up in the post. So just, you know, get a little bit carried away with your foam pads. Right, so I've got all that going on around the edges, and then I'm just kind of like random with where I put them. I'll try to think about where my character's going to go, which is pretty much, you know, in this region. And you want some good support for that. You don't want your paper going all wavy when you push down. So this is how many I have got. And that is quite a lot. I'll let you count them. But you can see how quickly you can get through foam pads, which is why it's important to get them as cheap as you can. And then to take the backs off, you just use your thumbnail or a pokey tool and just peel that off. Hold it down with your hand and try not to put your hand into the sticky bit. So I'll just take the rest off and come back. Okay, so I've peeled off all of the backs, and then the next thing you want to do, and I apologise if I'm shouting because I'm standing up so I can make sure that I'm getting this centre, is turn it over and kind of try to get it as straight as possible. And if I'm not straight, well, you know, it's tough because it's going to stay there. And then the next thing, of course, is our little gnome, and that's what your paper piecing will look like on the back. It's never pretty, but you know, no one's ever going to see it. So just a few more pads, and I'm going to go to the end of the hat there and into the end of the hat. And then I like to do the weak points, so that's like where the hat has joined the beard, and then that's going to hold that little piece of arm on there. And then I'm going to put another one there. And then I'm going to have one here. And then I will get my scissors, if I can find them. Here they are. And I'm going to snip this one into pieces. And I'm going to have a little bit on the foot. Try and make sure it fits before you push down. Yeah, that piece fits, but this needs cutting for that one because it's a much smaller one. But I'm not going to waste the rest of it. And, whoops, I'm going to use one of the pieces on the cake so that it's kind of like evenly suspended, and then that one onto the foot. And then you just peel them off again. But you can see I'm resting my hand down on this, and it's a nice solid base because we put so many foam pads onto there. So getting that off, and that's why you don't put your fingers on the sticky pads. And we're peeling that bit off. You can actually tell when you've peeled the back off because the foam is creamy, whereas the carrier is a lot more white. And then because I love that oven idea, but I want to position him so I can still see a little bit of coffee pot, and that shadow that's on that image is also being utilised. You see that? And then plenty of space up here for a sentiment, or into this little section here where you can pop a sentiment. Now I'm just going to sit down for a second. And that does make everything go wobbly, I am sorry. But all my carrier pieces will go off into the bin. But I can move that and I can share this with you. But doesn't he just look great? I just absolutely love that. I'm hoping that it gets... There we go. I've taken it out of the light so you can see it. We've got some white gel pen on the shoes. A little bit of highlight there on his ponytail clip. A little bit of a highlight on the plate for the cake and for the nose. Just super simple. Just really lovely. As I said, great for a man, great for a woman. Right, so to the people who asked yesterday, how do you do a card base? I hope that that has helped. If you're using a die to cut your cardstock, you just layer them up in exactly the same way. Right, so how big is that gnome? because now that he's made, we can find out. And I'm going to say that he's 3.5 inches. And then I think going from the edge of the hat to the cake, 2.5 inches. So that's super cute little chefy gnome. There he is. And of course, if you're doing it for Christmas, you can use the holly on the cake. You can have a sprig of holly up here on that little shelf up there. Or you could even have a little gingerbread man sitting up there. You could just do whatever you wanted to do. But Snap Click Supply, Cartabella, Farm to Table, paper. Don't forget Wednesdays, because I sometimes forget until I look at my emails that, you know, it's Dollar Wednesday. So just keep a notes in front of your computer or on your kitchen counter. And we used Touch New markers today. Use my Dollar Tree glue. And that's what I've got. I thank you so much for watching. I always do. And as usual, all links below. Bye.